So, first of all, thank you so much for being here today.
100%. I'm honored to be requested to join.
All right, all right. With this initiative that I have is broken down. We have the weeds and wilds, but then there's also components to that. So,
Okay.
you may be considered a weed or wild. I mean, I know you're from East Oakland, but I don't know if you were up there near the zoo or down amongst the folks. So I don't really know, but I guess we can get into that and figure that piece
I
out.
polished up well. That's all I'm gonna say. I polished up
And
well.
that's what I was
Yeah.
kind of figuring. I was like, I think I know what's going on here.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm a Brookfield baby. So
Okay, okay.
yeah.
So when we first connected, you were hosting Hawk Vision. And
Yes.
I heard some really amazing conversations between you and a lot of these different like outstanding business owners and things like that. So from those conversations, I just kind of knew like you had a lot to offer, right? I'm not gonna lie, I got a little intimidated because I was like, okay, I don't know you from 10, 12 years ago. So I just recently learned that you've been doing this stuff for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
So
man. You
you know,
remember you were in the sledgehammer training class. Yes.
well, that's what I was just like. I was trying to like piece everything together, and it's just, you just be going and going and going, and then it's like, oh, so
Yeah, the
things
rabbit
just
hole.
started coming to me after
Yes.
a point. So yeah, so then, what stood out most to me about those interviews that I was listening to always was your presentation there. So the
Okay.
way the conversations were flowing, the inflection of your voice at certain time, the whole thing. So I was wondering, did you have some background that poised you for that type of thing?
Not formal.
Okay.
In general, so my corporate life, I was in outside sales and recruiting for about 15 years.
Okay.
So I have been coaching and training and talking to people
Hmm.
for the better part of my adulthood. Like literally, I went from leaving college. I graduated early. I graduated myself and
Okay.
left,
Okay. We
and
do
and
that.
and I went into outside sales. And so instead of college as an education base, I had personal growth. And so I've been in rooms that I wasn't supposed to be in based on the mouthpiece. And so those conversations and stuff like that just kind of naturally came from there. And then in recruiting, you learn to talk to everybody at every level. So no formal training, but just that 10,000 hour rule.
I hear that. I hear
Yeah.
that. And I feel that too. Yeah. So when you were in college, what were you studying?
Believe it or not, business management.
Okay.
I have always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I took the road less traveled. I didn't want to go to like a 4 year. I already had my head wrapped around the fact that everybody with a degree worked for somebody with a license. So I was trying to find the fastest way to run a business and get a license. But at the time, I'm an old dude, so we didn't have internet and all that good stuff. So it was go to school, get a good education, get a good job. And so everybody pushed to 4 years. So I went to Hill, if you remember Hill Business College back in the day.
I do. I do.
Uh, I went to Hill and I lasted all of about 4 weeks, maybe, until my professor said the one thing that changed my life forever. He said, if you do what we tell you to do, and if you listen and if you apply yourself, one day you'll be able to make what I make. Now, being a little youngster from Brookfield, 98th Avenue in East
Mm-hmm.
Oakland, I
Mm-hmm.
raised my hand and, sir, you have intrigued me. Can you please tell me what that number is for that annual salary? Well, I don't like
Mm-hmm.
to brag, but I'm already at $70,000 a year, yada, yada, yada. So, of course, most in the class were like, ooh, yay, yada, yada, yada. For me, I was already doing that selling cars. And so I politely, thanked him for his answer, closed my book, and left, and I've never been back.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've just been on this entrepreneur journey the whole time, or
I'm a hybrid. I never tell
yeah.
anybody to leave their 9 to 5
Okay.
for
Okay.
any business. But that being said, I have worked as a 1099 employee my entire life. So
Okay.
everything that I've done has been on a contract basis, where I could either be a consultant or a recruiter or whatever it is. I've done that. And I've always had something as an anchor because there's people depending on me to get it right. And so as I build these businesses and learn my lessons to scale and to be more profitable, there's always an anchor so that I don't have to worry about the baseline because it's really, really hard to build when you don't have a foundation.
Smart, smart. So going back to Oakland, because
Yes.
Oakland is quite the place. Okay, what what was life like for you growing up in Oakland? Like, were you born and raised there? Did you move there at a
Yeah.
certain point? Talk to us about Oakland.
Love hate for Oakland, and I know that's probably gonna spark a whole different conversation. I love everything Oakland used to be, meaning born and raised. I am have been in East Oakland all my life. My mother is from the Dubs. My father's from Brookfield. I was born and raised on Alton Avenue, in Brookfield, and Oakland was the best of both worlds for me growing up. I had tons of cousins on both sides, so I was never alone, right? There's always 11 or 12 of us, and as you grow
Okay.
up, you go through certain stages, and one group of cousins is older, so now you can't hang out with them, and the next group is younger, so now you're trying to figure this thing out by yourself. And I am let's say I am from the good sideshow era of Oakland, meaning
Okay.
we had muscle cars. We wasn't doing donuts and Lexuses and
Yeah.
Infinities and all that. We had actual old schools. It was always an energy of Oakland of there's always something to do, whether it was fun on that borderline of legal or not. Saw a little bit of everything, did a little bit of everything, but there was always something in the back of my head that my father put into me, and it was every choice you make is going to have an echo. And the
Mm,
echo you'll never see until it starts happening. So it's best to make those choices up front. And so I would
okay.
always walk up to the borderline of destroying everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those friends and influences. Um, and something would always pull me back. And I don't know if your viewers are old enough to remember that episode. I mean, that movie Boys in the Hood, where
Of
Furious
course.
Styles talks to Trey, and he talks to his son about him being the only one with the father around. And he said, "You gonna see how they turn out. Yeah, you gonna see."
Yeah.
And that is one of the messages that I got. Um, Oakland has been everything to me, but I have always been um, a visionary, and where I'm from is never going to be as important as where I'm going.
Okay.
And so that's why I say I have a love hate. Oakland has designed some very key parts of me. It's embedded in the DNA, but it's too small for what I'm doing.
It's too small for what you're doing.
Yes,
That's a big statement. That's a
it
big
is.
statement.
It
That's
is. I say that humbly only because I related to the if you listen to the Bay's music, right? We have celebrities like really,
yeah.
really great music in our history. But
Hmm.
lately, the last 15, 20 years, none of our music travels past the Bay, right? And so that's what I mean when I say Oakland is too small for what I'm doing. I think global, worst case, I can land local, right?
Okay.
I think international, worst case, I can land and be, successful in terms of Oakland's eyes. But if I look at being successful for Oakland, then I end up only being successful for a neighborhood, right? So it's more so of that statement that Les Brown used to say, aim for the stars. I mean, aim for the moon, you'll land on stars, right?
Yeah.
And so when I say Oakland is too small for what I'm doing, that's more of the mindset that I'm talking about. It has nothing to
Okay.
do with the town or the love for the town. I'm
Yeah.
still, every once in a while I still do,
Yeah.
it still comes out.
Of
Um,
course.
but in terms of business, I have to think bigger than Oakland.
Okay. 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 That's fair. So would you say going through, growing through Oakland and going through Oakland, you said that you've always, had your vision in mind. Did you have
Yes.
a seamless experience to get to, let's say, where you are now? Or because when you think of the Bay Area, you think of a lot of different things. And then when you get closer in, to an area like Oakland, East Bay area, you hear about a lot of, the different crimes, and you hear about a lot of the
Yeah.
different you're a black guy, of a certain demographic. Um,
Yes.
there are obstacles that you face. Do you feel like your head kept you out of those, or do you feel like you touched those skirts too?
That's a good question. I think my first answer is I think I touched everything.
Okay.
And I have a specific story that kind of will allude to it. I remember working for a home loan company, outside sales, right? This is before the market crashed in '08 and all of that stuff. And I was a young guy. So I was like half 1 foot in corporate, 1 foot, doing
Mm-hmm.
everything else, right? And I remember I had a white IROC. Everybody in my area, like everybody that was in, like the know, I don't even know what the cool term is now. But everybody that was at the side shows knew the car. And we used to have two police officers, T. Lewis and Trackstar, and we would have Officer Boutte. We had several police officers that were like ingrained in the neighborhood. If you went through Oakland Public Schools, you knew some of these officers.
Mm-hmm.
If you got off the bus on 35th from whether it was Skyline, Castlemont, Tech, or Oakland High, you were at 35th and MacArthur. You knew some of these officers. Long story short, I had one police officer pull me over uh, by 73rd, 68th Avenue, where the McDonald's used to be, and he pulled me over, gave me a ticket for speeding, which was fine. I gave him my insurance. Um, he never gave me my insurance back. And if you know East Oakland, you know that there's a light on 73rd right when you pass that McDonald's in Eastmont Mall. And then the next major light may be between 78th and 82nd, somewhere around on the hill. I think, yeah, the hill's on the left, stores on the right. He pulled me over again on 82nd and gave me a ticket for not having my insurance, which
No
he
way.
still had. Yes,
No
which
way.
I swear, which he still had. And this is where my 1 foot in, 1 foot out is illustrated, because not only did I get two tickets, not only did he threaten to tow my car because I didn't have insurance, which he had. We didn't have, we were still on minutes back then with the cell phones, meaning we couldn't
Yeah.
take pictures and yada yada yada. But long story short, I had uh, a manager at the home loan place. His name was Dave Lucchini. I consider him my godfather to this day. And Dave Lucchini was like, here's what you do. You go to court and you present both tickets and you show the timestamps. Doesn't have uh, a lack of insurance on it, right? Then why does the second? And so he taught me
Uh,
how to start playing the game with, the various systems that I was in. He taught me, like, I believe all wealth is, and this is part of my vision, I believe all wealth ends in two places: Wall Street, real estate. And he started showing me the difference in how to play the game, right? Because if you don't have anybody that can kind of walk you through those, I would have ended up paying both tickets full price. Turns out they both got written off, right? So
yeah.
I was just annoyed, and I was, felt like I was getting targeted and all that, which I probably was, but it ended up being, a free experience, so to speak.
How far apart in time were the
The two
tickets?
tickets, oh,
Yeah.
less than 10 minutes. It doesn't take long to get from 73rd to 82nd, right? Like it was literally same night, same officer, drive down the street, pull me over again.
That is crazy. So did you follow up to see if there was reprimand for?
Of course not. I was too young to know
Yeah.
to do that. But I was more, and even my father at the time was more impressed that I went to court, presented the two tickets, and the judge was like, "Yeah, this doesn't make any sense," and
Mm-hmm.
got rid of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up consequently painting the car a different
Okay.
color and
Okay.
doing some things to make sure that car wasn't as visible. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, I mean, things like that happened all the time. Obviously, tons of, high school fights and yada, yada, yada. None of those things are, as important as they seem to be at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Oakland showed me everything great and everything potentially damaging that it had to offer. And I believe that the guidance that I had and the surroundings that I had and the vision for myself um, gave me a good option to make a good choice from. And it's
Okay.
been a collection of those choices so that the echoes could compound.
Yeah, and that was literally going to be my next question. Like, what helped you to just like stay the course and not fall too far off to the left? And then also, something just popped in my mind when you were talking about consequently
Yeah.
in your car. I don't know, like if you intended to use that word, but I when people do things, and I don't know the cops like nationality, but I just made an assumption, okay?
Yes,
Because sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's just like a power thing. But whatever the case was, there are so many. There's like a full gamut of things that could be a possibility when someone's inflicting racism or classism or something like that on you. Because with you going to paint your car, something that costs you time, money, and energy,
yes,
that was something that was done. When you boil it down, it was done out of fear because
yes,
of what he did to you. So it's like, yes,
yes,
you fought back, you stood up for yourself, but there was still something that you're, like carrying around that made you say, I don't want that to happen again. And it was a good call, because if you were
yeah.
a different kind of guy, you could have been like, I wish it would happen again. And it would have been a different direction, right? But because
Yeah,
of the way your mind is, you like, let me avoid it. But then they have also done something to you, and so that's just like
yeah,
that's like, I don't know, it just stood out for me. And that just shows, and I wasn't, clearly we were not here to talk about like racism, but that's
sure.
just like a moment to like reflect on some of the effects when people are thinking like, oh, racism isn't this, racism isn't that. There's so many possibilities, because that is something that you shouldn't have had to experience, and that's something
Yeah,
you shouldn't have had. We shouldn't have to go and paint our car out of fear of being targeted. And I get it. I do get it, because listening to you talk, I'm figuring we must be like from the same era, give or take, because those were the dream cars of the guys
yes,
in my school. And I've been out at some of the real side shows. I've partook a time
yes.
too. So I figure we are. So I get exactly what you're saying. And so there were people that were causing trouble that were driving around in that. And who knows? You might have been one, but if you weren't causing trouble at that
I wasn't
time,
causing trouble that time. Right.
exactly, they shouldn't have been
Um,
bothering you. And so, yeah, I
I
just
think
had to point that out.
no, I appreciate that. I think Oakland has been trying to address the sideshow issue for almost 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And because before us, before our era, sideshows were still a thing. There was the Falcon Club, right? And the
Okay.
Mustang Club, and all of those things that used to happen from 85th to the Dragons. Like there's always been a sideshow culture in Oakland that the Bay has now, absorbed. And now you have them in San Jose and all these other little cities.
Okay.
Um, but to your point, my thought process, and this is as an older guy now, there's no reason to have to learn a lesson twice, right? And
Yeah.
so to go back to why I painted the car, um, I'm a little bit more mild tempered now,
Mm-hmm.
and I at the time, both myself and my the friends that I were hanging around, all of that, um, to quote unquote talk back and to quote unquote puff your chest out and get back, it's a natural reaction because respect is a thing.
Yeah.
Um, but and this is gonna sound so arrogant, money makes people respect you, right?
That's not
And
arrogant, and that's the truth.
and
That
so
is,
in this interaction, right, that's the lesson that I learned. Not only was I able to paint my car, so now if you're targeting me, now I know because now you're looking for me, not the car. Right
yeah.
now you're looking in the car and you're like, oh, that's Chuck. That's da da da, right? And so what I learned with going to fight that ticket, and even though I had visions and dreams of being wealthier um, than I was at the time, um, I learned that you can fight one of two ways. You can fight loud or you can fight with the pen, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote. And I love fighting with the pen.
Yeah.
Like, because that's where, whether it's racism or just, targeted aggression, whether it's a police officer or whether it's, a corporate environment, that's where you can level the playing field, right? With your
Yeah.
communication, with your accomplishments, with your network. I mean, if we go corporate, I tell everybody if you have to watch Game of Thrones because corporate America is literally the exact same, right? You have everybody has their own castle, their own
Mm-hmm.
family, their own house, and your job is to make it to the other side with everybody still, like leaving your head intact. And
Hmm.
so if you learn how to speak people's language and how to fight the game the way that they fight, whether that's the 48 laws of power or whether, however you want to relate it, once you learn how to speak to people on their level at their language, you can win at anything, and you don't necessarily have to have a master's degree to do that.
Yeah.
I have, to this day, no degrees, and
Hmm.
I've been very, very successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I've watched people have, two doctorates and they're still asking for resume advice and things like
Hmm.
that. So it's just thought process. I think, everybody's got to go through their own maturation process. But for me, there's no reason to learn a lesson twice. And if there are resources and people that you can reach out to that can give you actual functional advice, those are the people that you should deal with. I've never taken any advice from somebody that didn't either have what I wanted to attain or have already lost what it is that I wanted.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay. I struggle with that idea of people.
Okay.
I do, because I feel like, and I explain this a lot to people. I feel like if there is someone in front of me who, let's just say, wants to do a resume,
Yes.
and they can't read though, right? And they're
Yes.
asking me, and I'm telling them what to do to create a resume, and I'm just trying to instruct them on how to get on Chat GPT maybe, and this is what you can do, say this or whatever, and they're telling me, they ask me, oh, have you used Chat GPT? And I'm like, no. Then they're like, well, why should I listen to you?
Yeah.
And that's an example, and my explanation will be, well, if you can't read and I can read, I am telling you what it says, so why wouldn't you take the information from my mouth, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So when people say I don't take advice from people that have not been where I'm trying to go, there's a person that I know that spent almost 30 years in prison, and they read religiously, and they can come out and teach you anything, literally.
Yep.
They don't have much to show. They don't have much but a small space and a regular car, regular job. So someone would look at that person and say, why should I
You
listen
can't
to
teach
you?
me.
You don't have it.
Yeah.
Well, so that's why I struggle with that. I get the gist of the statement, but overall, I just
100%.
really wish that people would tweak that statement, because it's not fair
It's
to
not a
like
complete
say
statement.
that.
Yeah. I think that there's if we go that route, there is still an intangible that those people have, right?
Yeah.
So in your example, that person is coming to you because they still know you have the knowledge, which is intangible. You may not be able to show that I have, this 5 year history of writing resumes, but
Yeah.
they're still coming to you for a reason. And so then it's the communication and the emotional intelligence to say, hey, I know that you don't know that this is what I do, and this may not be what I
Hmm.
do. However, this is where the industry is going. This is the quickest way to get you to your goal. This is what any resume writer or recruiter or whatever service is going to do. They're going to say, put your information into this system, and then they'll spit it out. They'll ask you what you want to do. They'll ask you your skills. Can you drive?
Hmm.
You like it. That's the communication side of it, and go into the intangibles. Um, but when you start to talk business and scale and things like that, it's hard to take advice from somebody that doesn't have skin in the game. So, for instance, I teach people how to invest in real estate right now. And we've been doing it for about the past 4 or 5 years. But I've also bought multiple homes and I have
Hmm.
multiple investment properties across different states. It would be hard for me to jump on YouTube and listen to somebody if I can't go look at their portfolio. And if
Yeah.
they can't point me in the direction of a lender, a contractor, a realtor, a property
Yeah.
management, like if they can't complete that picture, then I'm just getting that one piece of information and I'm still at ground zero.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, it depends on where you are. You are correct, is 100% not a complete statement. Um, but I think anybody that's asking a question knows or should know that they're asking a question to someone that has either a level of knowledge that they don't have, a level of exposure that they don't have, or a network that they don't have. And those are the only three types of questions you should ever ask.
Okay. Okay. And so I want to go ahead and fast forward to something you just touched on. Um, you are now teaching people how to invest in real estate, right?
Yes.
And you offer a comprehensive program that teaches people how to do that, which I think is genius, because so many people want to invest in real estate, but it's just like it's intimidating when you think about the big picture of it, and oftentimes we stop before we even start.
100%.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So how did you get into real estate in this capacity? Because you could be doing anything in real. How did you get into it in this
Yeah.
capacity?
So we go back to those decisions and echoes, right? So coming out of high school, I worked at UPS over at the airport. And I had a friend that I worked with at the time. His name's Eric. And we were killing UPS. I actually learned how to drive a stick working at UPS because they used to
Wow.
leave us out on the ramp, right? And you had to
Oh
get back to the
wow.
ramp. Anyway, so working at UPS, I had a friend. His name's Eric, and we both worked at UPS. Then we both went to go sell cars. We were the only two youngsters there that knew that there was something bigger for us. Everybody else, like you get into UPS and you're seasonal. If you can go full time or you can go permanent, then you got benefits. You can be in a union. Like everybody was all excited. We were like, I'm not working this hard every night. I like it. It's
Yeah.
cool, but
Yeah.
30 years of this? Absolutely not. And
Right.
so we both had the chance to go permanent and we both turned it down. Ultimately, to leave and go sell cars, I sold Lincoln Navigators when they first came out, and he was selling, I think, Toyota or Honda. Not the point. Long story short, I went from there to corporate America and started doing stocks and investing there with Merrill Lynch and Charles Schwab. Yes, I worked for both, no
Oh
degree.
wow.
Um, and learned how to do that. And
Yeah.
we just always connected. So I was in that stock and investing world, and he uh, moved to, I believe, Vegas, and he started investing in property. And he had a mentor that showed him how to do that. Um, we stayed in touch through different entrepreneurial ventures. He had a couple businesses, I had a couple businesses, and we would always just bounce ideas off each other. Like, where are you? What have you learned? What are you doing? Should I read this book? Have you read that
Mhm.
book? You know, network marketing, all those things. And he came back right before the pandemic, and he was like, I think I want to do something. And so we talked it out. Um, and he said he's going to come up with a course to show everybody how he's been investing in real estate. Because up until that time, we were kind of butting heads on which venue was more important, right?
Okay.
Learning how to invest or in the stock market or buying real estate.
Okay.
And friendly competition. But he basically went through, created the course, and myself and another young lady were the first two people to go through it just so that we could poke holes in it, right? We
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see um, where the pitfalls were, where it made sense, what the flow went through, and everybody can't just jump in. I don't want to make it sound like investing in real estate is as easy as, baking a cake. It is not.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be qualified to do it. However, the way that we've put this together after going through the course, by the end of the 8 weeks or the 10 weeks that you go through this course, you are in a position to put offers on properties, meaning you will have your business credit, you will have your complete team ready to help you with your properties. And I think that's extremely important because everybody knows a realtor, everybody knows a contractor, everybody knows a loan officer, right? But if you only know one leg of the stool, you can't get the full picture and you're still stuck at the starting point. And
Okay.
our program is really, really unique. And with a year and a half, 2 years under our belt, we have over 100 mentees and they all have properties.
Wow.
Um, with the exception of anybody that's like in week 5, 6, 7 and, isn't done with the course or they're shopping. And I have never in my history of entrepreneurship seen a success rate like this. Now, obviously,
Mhm.
there's still pitfalls. It's real estate. There's still, somebody's going to steal your furnace, and things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, but I've never seen people being walked into realizing this dream this fast. I mean, you got to think about it. You go through a course, and in 2 months, you own real estate. There are people that have worked for 30
Wow.
years and don't own their own home, right? So like
Uh-huh.
we really fast track you through this, and you stay with us in our private Facebook group, so we don't teach you and then drop you off. Like you still get monthly classes that we teach on various aspects of it. We talk about providing coverage and umbrellas for your wealth because we believe that it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. You'll learn tax structures, you'll learn different investment strategies, all of these things. But the goal is to get you in the game,
Yeah.
right? The goal is to get you in the game because if you look at the difference between real estate and everyone's 9 to 5 401k, that's everybody's safety net, right? Your 401k on average, and feel free, I know that people are going to watch the video and correct me, but you're on average, your 401k is going to appreciate no more than 10% in the best year. Your
Okay.
annual raise is going to be no more but than 3 to 5%, unless you're in sales, in your best year. Real estate averages an increase of 12 to 15% every year. And the
Okay.
tax breaks and the tax codes are written for people that own real estate. And so um, it's a catalyst for wealth. It's not only just about owning the property, it's about owning something that could potentially start at 100 grand and in 5 years be 250. You can't do that anywhere else outside of the stock market without having a degree and years of experience and yada yada yada, right? And so um, I think it's phenomenal what we're doing. I'm excited about it, and
Yeah.
I don't think I can't see myself stopping anytime soon.
That's nice. So what would you say qualifies a person to invest in real estate? Because you said if they're qualified to invest in real estate, everyone's not. So what are like the key
Yeah.
things for a person to know if they're qualified to reach out to you and get started?
I think credit scores first, and we
Okay.
have these resources. Credit scores first, and the reason that credit scores first is because you want to operate and negotiate from a position of power at all times. If you
Okay.
have a 580 or a 600 credit score, you're not able to get in front of hard money lenders that will give you their money to buy the
Yeah.
property for you um, at a rate that's going to be affordable for you. So there's three things. First, you got to have your credit score. I say a minimum 680, 700. And that will
Okay.
help one leg of the stool. The second thing is you have to have some liquid funds because while we do use other people's money to buy property, you still will have to pay the fees and the consulting costs and the closing costs and things like that. So you've got to have some liquidity. And then the third thing is you have to be coachable, right?
Uh-huh.
It is you have to forget everything you know or everything that you've heard, because everything that you know and everything that you've heard has not resulted in you having a property. This does, and we have a
Okay.
track record to prove it. But I would
Uh-huh.
say liquidity and credit score are your baselines. You got those two, we can rock with it.
Okay. Well, so and you guys have a pretty good success rate. You said you have about 100 or so people that okay. How
Yes.
do you bother to vet people out to see if they are qualified, especially with you mentioning that they have to be coachable? Do you vet people out when they're reaching out to see is this somebody that's going to be able to make it through? Because I'm sure if they purchase the program, they purchase the program, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you guys as organization
Yeah.
that you're committed to like a certain percentage. So what do you vet people out, or is it on them, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out? Because some
No,
places won't take you if they know that you're not going to be coachable.
100%. We vet everyone. So before we ever have that conversation and present you with the opportunity to pay for the course, we have a 10 question questionnaire that you'll fill out. And that'll let us know about credit score, liquidity, goals, vision, yada, yada, yada. Excuse me. And then from there, we'll have an introductory conversation and we'll talk about your background, what you're looking to accomplish. And again, because of the way that I can interact with anybody, I can talk to Frank Lucas if he's sitting right there. I can talk to Barack Obama if he's sitting right there. And
Okay.
so that communication style for me, I will be able to pull out if this person is coachable. We
Okay.
say no to several people. We've said no to several people, um, and others, we meet where they are. Some people are not necessarily going to be 5-star students. They're literally leveraging our connections and our team, which is okay, right? That's part of what you do. You get a business in a box and you're able to say, okay, now I don't have to worry about finding all of these different legs of the stool. I can purchase this course, go through their course, and then they'll give me everybody, which is great, right? And so it's just about managing expectations and having that communication. But if you are not successfully vetted through those 10 questions, then we put a pause and we work on whether it's credit score, whether it's liquidity, things like that. Mindset is something that's ongoing for everybody, right? Maturity is not equal. Common sense is not common. And so those are part of the
Yeah,
courses
yeah.
that we'll have every I think it's once a month we have a Saturday group call with the team. And then I think the best part of the course overall is that we take our students to the areas that we invest in. So they get to see properties at all stages, whether it's before the rehab takes place, the middle of the rehab, and they can meet the contractor. They get to see when it's all done, nice and pretty before it gets rented out or flipped. And so that is that tangible proof, right? That you can see you may be on week 2 and go out to the trip. Somebody else has already graduated and is working on their property. Now you get to see your finish line, right? So it goes back to taking advice from people that have what it is
Yeah.
that you have. And so you get to see that in real time. And once you can touch it, once you can, for lack of better words, touch it, taste it, feel it, all those things, then it becomes something that is more attainable. And,
Okay.
that helps out everybody as well.
Okay. So when you were talking about like the credit scores and numbers that are needed to like invest, you said a number that's higher than what real estate agents would just recommend. They're typically like that 580, that 600.
Yes.
Are you, and you said it's because you'll get access to
To
hard
other
money.
money. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So do you guys work with people that are just looking to purchase a home? Because it's clearly from what you're saying, it's a different approach that you take when you want to invest. It's because you want to, when you buy the property, clearly the goal is for it to become a source of income for you sooner than later.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't approach a person that's just buying a home to live in the same way you would a person. Do you take those people, or do you just like, is that just something different? Do you guys under the, like,
Yeah. Under the Wind Blueprint umbrella. So
yes.
we um that's a great question. Our basic model right now is for real estate investors.
Okay.
And so to answer the question bluntly, no, we probably wouldn't have retail shoppers, people that are looking to buy their first home personally, because we do this as a business. So you'll have your LLC set up, you'll have your business entities set up so that ultimately you'll be in a position to leverage the majority of the write-offs that are available to investors. Homeowners get different write-offs as well. It's something that's absolutely beneficial, but there's other programs like FHA that you can do as a retail home buyer. You can do an FHA program, 580 credit score, and as long as your numbers and your income match up, you can buy a property. As a business, you cannot buy a property under the FHA umbrella. And
Okay.
so that's why there's that separation of scores,
Okay.
because you can do everything at 580, but you can't do it as a business at 580. And so we're
Okay.
teaching it as a business model. Now, personally, I have every resource that you need, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to own a home in the area that you live and you're not trying to be an investor, then absolutely, I have additional resources for that. That's outside of the program.
Okay. Okay. So are the brokers and the lenders and the agents, are they in-house too, or do you guys outsource people once you get people to finish this program, or is everything in-house, or do you outsource with other?
Everything's in house. Everything's in
Okay.
house. We have terrific relationships with, I would say, some of the top performers in their fields in the various industries that they are, whether that's contractors, property management, realtors. All of our realtors are number one in their areas that we invest, and that's both in terms of production and dollar amount. Now, some of that is because of our program, but others, they were top performers before we got there. And so our
Okay.
partnerships are amazing. And for me, if I was coming into a program like this, um, better example, we have a 24-year-old, his name's Emmanuel. Um, he used to work for a tech company, and he worked for a tech company for quite some time, I think about 2 or 3 years. 21, very smart young man. um, and he had his 401k, which was accumulating some value there, and he joined our program and bought 2 duplexes and
Wow.
from our program and had them both rented out. So now you're looking at a 24-year-old that has a great 9 to 5, right? And also has 2 rental income properties, and that's growing. Um, and that doesn't happen if you look, and I go back to, right, when I said my vision is bigger than Oakland, if you
Mm-hmm.
stay in the city that you're in, right, that doesn't typically happen. I know that there are investors that said, I did it in my city, yada, yada, yada. Perfect. I understand
Yeah.
that. But I would be impressed if they said they did it seamlessly. I would be
Mm.
impressed if they said they did it and didn't have to use their own money to do so, right? Or they didn't have to crowdfund or syndicate their deal, meaning that they had to find investors to help them buy the property. And that's why I love what we do, because we show you that there are other entities out there of all nationalities that want to put their money to work and need investors to do it,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so we become an eBay in that model where we match buyers and sellers, get them to fall in love with each other on a property, and then we make a good deal. They make their money off the interest. We make our money off the rental income and the DSCR loans and all these different things with the tax write-offs. Like, it's an amazing system. So
Okay. Okay. Nice.
yeah,
So something else that you said, I wanted to see if I can get you to expound on a little bit
okay.
about tax codes being written for, what did you say there?
Investors,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so let me preface this. I am not a CPA. I am not a tax attorney, but I will give you examples.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in the example of buying uh, most of the people that are interested in investing in real estate have heard of the BRRRR method, which is buy, rehab, um, rent, repeat, right? And so the BRRRR method, you buy a distressed property, you rehab it, and then you get it rented out, and you continue to do that over and over and over again. Well, in this model, one of the tax benefits that you have is that if you, depending on how you buy the property, all of your interest that you pay and closing costs is one write-off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then when you're doing the rehab, all of that money is considered a write-off because it's being spent into the business. If you're paying on a hard money loan, all of the interest payments, and typically a hard money loan are all interest only payments. So your entire payment to that hard money lender is a tax write-off. And now that the property is done being rehabbed, you refinance out to a traditional lender. So you're going from a hard money lender to Wells Fargo home loans, so to speak. And now you can not only pull enough money out from the new value of the property since it's been rehabbed, you pull that money out, you pay the credit cards back, and that new money, if there's money left over, right? So let's say you borrow 50 grand, you put in another 40, and your new, so you're all in about 90, and now your new value for that property, let's say, and this is a horrible example, let's say it's 200. So now
Okay.
you have a $200,000 property that you paid 100,000 for, that you basically need to pay 100,000 back for. That 100,000 comes out of your new refinance. You may pull out another 40, or let's say 30 or 40 to keep it safe at your 70% rule. That additional 30 or $40,000 is also tax free because it's considered part of the loan, and debt is not income. And so those are the types of breaks that you get when you have tax strategies for an investor.
Let me just check this network. Okay. Okay. You're back now.
Yep,
Thank you.
no worries. Do you want me to repeat that one?
Yes, please.
Okay. So what I was saying was, let's say you borrow $50,000 from a lender to get a property, and you have a distressed property, and you put another $40,000 into it to get it ready to rent out or to sell, like you're going to flip it or whatever. In
Okay.
this case, we're not flipping it; we're going to keep it. We're going to rent it out. But now we're going to refinance out of that hard money loan, and we're going to go to Rocket Mortgage or Wells Fargo. We're going to get a
Mhm.
new traditional mortgage on the property. Well, now our interest rate goes from the hard money interest rate of 15 to 12% down to what current interest rates are. So now you're saving the difference between a 12% interest rate to a 7 or 8% interest rate, right? But the joy in that is, not only are you borrowing the money to pay back the hard money lender, you're also paying back the credit cards or whatever it is that you use for the rehab, right? So now you're paying the 50 back, you're paying the 40 back. Anything over that, so let's say the new property is worth 200 grand, you pull out 140, 150.
Okay.
The extra money outside of paying the lender back and the money that you're paying back from the rehab is also tax free. So that's 40 or $50,000 that you make tax free, because anything that is a debt is not part of a loan. I mean, it's not considered income. So
Okay.
because that extra 40 is considered part of that new mortgage, it's not taxable income. So when you
Okay.
say I made 40 grand this year, no, you didn't. You have $40,000 worth of debt.
Mm,
That's going to get paid anyway because now you have a tenant in there paying the mortgage. So
okay.
there's tons of interest and different I mean, it's the tax write-offs are endless, and as you grow your portfolio, you can open it up to cost segregation and some of these other programs that, again, I am not a CPA for, but you pay good money for them, and these tax strategies save you tons of money.
You said twice that you're not a CPA, but you've
Yeah.
read the stuff and you can relay the information. That goes back to what I was saying, how you can, you get,
Yeah,
you see
but
what I'm
it's that intangible, right? Like I've had the experience
saying?
and I've done it, right? So
Yes.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
If you guys were like looking to bring more people on board, I was asking like, what would it take for them to come and join on and work in like the capacity you work in? And what I was saying was that a person like yourself, with you mentioning that you didn't have like the formal education,
Yeah.
but you've lived a life that helped you cultivate this person that is able to come out here and do what you do, just sit there and open your mouth and speak so um very detailed and well informed about so many different subjects, just like seamlessly. So
Yeah.
everyone doesn't have that. So for a person that's just like, what do I do? I'm this age and I like what he's talking about. I want to come and do that. How can they come on board? Do you offer that type of mentorship for people that want to get into this type of work? Because I'm sure these programs exist. I've heard of them a little bit,
Sure.
but listening to you, this just sounds, to me, it sounds kind of innovative. So how can somebody come on board and connect with you guys?
Excuse me. So I am always reachable, and I have a fairly open door policy. I probably talk too much to people and answer questions.
Mhm.
Now, as the company is the Win Blueprint, we aren't necessarily hiring. Our overarching goal is to teach everyday Americans or international, because we actually have some Canadian mentees as well. But to teach people how to invest in real estate. So we don't have um, open positions, I would say, as of yet. Um,
Okay.
but I have been a personal coach and mentor for quite some time. And so
Okay.
if somebody has questions about where they are in life and how they can put their connect the dots, so to speak, and if they have something that they know they want to do, my network is forever open to serious people. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
I'll make sure that people have, my contact information. And I'm not cheap, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe that, for me, I would rather pay someone that can give me tangible results and tangible resources than to pay for, and this is my opinion, than to pay for a college education and not have any guarantees when I leave college. And
Okay.
so that is my approach right now. I 100% believe if you're going to be a judge, a lawyer, a doctor, a nurse, then absolutely you need to go to college. You need to learn those things. But I believe everything else can be learned, and my job is with everybody that I come across to make sure that they know that they can shorten their learning curve, and you can 100% do that. But it will take mindset, it will take sacrifice, it will take dedication, and it will take being able to understand that every decision matters.
Okay.
And between that and your personal growth and your level of emotional intelligence, you can do anything, right?
Okay.
And I believe that the best part of the journey, and I'm just talking about the wealth journey, the money journey, the best part of the getting money journey for me is that it's a people business, right?
Yeah.
And if you genuinely care about people and you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want by default. The worst part about it is that it's the people business.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I tell everybody, a person can be good, people are bad, right?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
person can be good and people are bad. I My goal is to treat every person personally and never let people get to me.
Okay. So how can people and I'll link everything below, but do you have a platform where they can reach out to you and see your individual coaching opportunities? I know how the blueprint is there, the win blueprint is there, and I'll connect that here too. But if they want to
Yes,
reach out to Chuck directly and get some of this, these what I say, the seeds or fertilizer, if they want to reach out
yes, yes.
directly, how can they do that?
100%. So I'll give you a link for that as well.
Okay,
Um, I am uh, in the process of developing what I call my Hawk Vision strategy. And so,
got
I've
it.
been doing this coaching and training for a long time. Back when I had my sledgehammer talks, and I
Yeah.
was teaching, people about how to connect their dots. And so we're revamping that. And to your previous point, I've had podcasts before podcasts were popular.
Right.
And
That's what I recently discovered, and I
I've had international podcasts since before Spotify was even a thing.
yeah.
And what I tell people is you don't necessarily do the thing for the result, you do the thing for the experience. And
Okay.
so all of those podcasts that I did back in the day were helping me to shorten the learning curve, connect the dots, build a network so that I could be where I am now. Right.
Okay.
It was never for me, it was never about monetizing the podcast. It was
Yeah.
about putting myself in position to talk to international business owners, to talk to a woman that has launched the first Black-owned real estate company in Dubai, or to put
Uh-huh.
myself in front of an international relationship expert, or to put myself in front of people that have been in Shark Tank and learn from them in a model that was mutually beneficial, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
so that's one of the ways that I've shortened my learning curve. I think everybody chases the immediate dollar, and that's fine, but it's short sighted. I think
Okay.
I think AI can do everything except build relationships.
Okay.
And
Okay.
every deal that you see happen on Wall Street has been made by relationships. It has not been
Yes.
made by AI,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
those backroom deals. It's if I got any Hamilton fans that are watching, when they say I want to be in the room where it happens, that's those relationships, right?
Yeah.
It's being able to pick up the phone and say, hey, I need somebody that can do XYZ. Chuck, can you get that for me? Yeah, let me go on the network and let me make that introduction, right? I know that if somebody says, where can I go get the best facial that I've ever had, I know I can go say, well, listen, I know somebody that happens to have a shop. And
Oh, do
and, and
you?
this is where I know somebody.
What's the name?
Hands are magical. Her name's Kiana. You know what I mean? Her name's Kiana. Hands are magical. That's where you want to go. You will fall
Thank you.
asleep in
Thank
less than
you.
10 minutes. You know what I mean? Um, and being able to prop those people up is where you want to be. And last thing I'll say, there's a network special called The Black Godfather. I think it's on Netflix, and it's about a gentleman by the name of Clarence Avant. And Clarence Avant is probably the most important person in Black Hollywood that nobody knows. And I think that we need to study people like that instead of
I'm
always
writing.
trying to.
I'm writing this down. I've heard the name a
Yeah,
thousand times, but I cannot tell you
yeah.
who he is.
He is the they call him the Black Godfather. His name's Clarence Avant. And when I tell you he is the most successful connector of people I have ever seen, it was
Okay.
inspiring. And we're talking everybody from Barack Obama to George Clinton to uh, I mean politics, sports. I mean, he is a connector of people internationally. And I'm not sure he's still around. I know his wife tragically passed not too long ago. But if you watch that documentary, it is the absolute embodiment of help enough people get what they want, and you will get
Hmm.
what you want by default. Nobody ever knew his name, but he was in every room where the biggest and brightest deals were happening, and he got a cut based on being able to introduce people to each other.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So with you just, organically kind of touching on like where I was going, what, people like yourself that what do you call it? Just I would just say self-made. There's always like a few staple go-tos. For a person like me, myself, I have like certain books that I've read. I have certain authors like a Maya Angelou and Toni Morrison. I have certain people that if I see their name, I'm stopping and I'm reading it. If I read it 1,000 times, a quote, a book, or whatever. What
Yep.
like what is one of your like go-to pieces that has helped you cultivate yourself in like a book? You mentioned this one movie, but what is like one of your favorite go-tos that you would
Book
say has
wise, oh
yes.
man, hands down, the Understanding Your Potential series by Miles Monroe. Miles Monroe is a don't give me the line about the nationality or where he's from. Caribbean island
Uh,
somewhere, but he was a pastor, um, and he has a book series based on understanding your potential, releasing your potential, and understanding your faith and purpose and power, things like that. Hands down, my favorite series. I read every one of those books at least once a year, and I get something different from that book every time I read it. And what's so powerful to me is he has an example of opening a lawnmower, right?
mhm.
And I believe it's a lawnmower in the book. And he says you go to Home Depot, you buy the box, you get the lawnmower, and only a fool expects the lawnmower to be a cash register,
Mm,
right? Only a fool expects a lawnmower to be a cash register. The potential of this lawnmower for some people is just to make sure the front of their house looks nice or
yeah.
the back of their house looks nice. The potential for that same lawnmower in somebody else's hands can start a business. The potential for that same lawnmower in somebody else's hands is a go-kart engine, a brand
Okay.
new go-kart engine. Without having to go somewhere and pay for an engine, you can go pay $250 for an engine on a lawnmower. So understanding the potential of a thing is directly related to what it is that you want that thing to do. And
Okay.
so if you need to read the manual and understand the source or the power or what it does, like then you do that. But understanding the potential first of yourself and then second of your resources, phenomenal book. I recommend that to even my real estate mentees. Understanding Your
Okay.
Potential by Miles Monroe is my hands down favorite book. Second is The Magic of Thinking Big by it's either David or Daniel Schwartz. Love that book as well.
Magic of thinking big.
Yes,
Okay. 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 Thank you.
I have
Thank
a
you for.
whole library over there. I wish I could turn my camera around and show it to you, but I have roughly about 300 books. And my kids are always like, "Dad, have you read every one of those books?" No, but I'm on my way. I
But I
have
will.
I have read at least 200 of them, and I had an old mentor that said, "The smaller the house, the bigger the TV. The bigger the house, the bigger the library."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm with
And
you on that.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
once he taught me that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still have TVs in my house, but my my
Yeah.
library has grown significantly, and I think that has lended itself to me being able to your previous point, speak to anybody in any room. Like I've
Okay.
never walked in a room and been intimidated by a lawyer or a doctor or a CEO or CFO. It just it can't happen. I won't allow it to happen, but it can't happen because I spend time investing in myself in
And
those
knowledge,
areas.
based knowledge gives you that confidence. That's
Correct.
what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, I like to ask people to leave us with a couple of things. So for you, I want to ask you to for two areas. So
Okay.
one, for a young person that is just like like yourself, I'm working, I'm doing this, I have a big vision, this is not it, and you just feel that gumption. What are
Yeah.
5 pieces of advice that you would give for them to follow what they're feeling in their gut to reach towards where they want to be, but living in an environment that's pulling them in a lot of directions? And let's think about a person, because I hear you mentioned your father several times. The
Yes.
reality is everybody doesn't have that going on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I want to speak to everyone, because
Okay.
sometimes there's a father around and maybe like he's for whatever reason just not available. I want to speak to everyone when we give advice. So what would you say, like, against all odds, what are 5 pieces of advice you would
Woo. No pressure.
say?
Keandra, 5 pieces of advice that anybody could follow. I think first is write down your vision. Be very clear about where you want to be, um, and where you want to go. And when I say write down your vision, I don't mean in 5 years I want to have a car and a house. I mean, you take that to a granular level and you be very specific. The Bible uses, and I'm not a very religious man, but the Bible says write it down, make it plain, yada yada yada.
Yes.
So by value, I mean by vision, I mean write down in the next 3 years, I want to have this dollar amount in my account. I want to wake up at this time. I want to, like every detail of your life, write that down. And the reason that I say write it down, not text it, not make a little voice note in your phone. When you
Mm-hmm.
write things down, you learn it 3 ways instantly. You get muscle memory from writing it, you're reading it as you writing it, and you're committing it to memory because you're reading it in your head while you write it. So you're
Yes.
literally giving yourself a 3 times force multiplier when you write it down. Um, so vision is your first thing, right? Your second thing is your integrity. Who are you willing to be to become this vision that you have for yourself? Are the
Mm.
things that you do every day aligning with the person that you say you want to become? And so, to your point, everybody doesn't have their father, everybody doesn't have that structure, everybody doesn't have those guardrails around them where they can say, hey, um, I, Uncle such and such, this is what I'm thinking, can you give me advice? And they may not have that. However, you do know that if you want to be a successful person, you can't be out here doing XYZ, right? You don't see those type of people that typically live that life doing the things that you're currently doing. So the integrity now has to be aligned with the vision that you say you have for yourself. So check your
Okay.
integrity, right? So you got vision, that's your first one. You got integrity, that's your second one. The S is for sacrifice. And the popular thing is to say you're going to have to sacrifice something, you're going to have to give up something. It may be an hour of TV, it may be your favorite game on your phone or whatever the case is. I would like to challenge that. And when I say sacrifice, I am saying give up something proactively,
Mm.
right? We live in a information overload world where everybody's attention span is less than 90 seconds,
Yeah.
right? Everybody has something to say about a relationship or this celebrity, that celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
Sacrifice something immediately and proactively and give yourself 45 minutes a day. Even if it starts with 20 minutes, give yourself 20 to 45 minutes a day based on researching the vision that you have. I want everything to align, right? So you got your vision, you got your integrity, you got your sacrifice. The other I that I will give you, and we're now on our one, two, three, fourth thing, is your investigation.
Okay.
Learn the industry that you say you want to be a part of. Learn the industry or the surrounding aspects of the business that you say you want to be in or the type of person that you say you want to be, right? So we can take that to healthcare. Some people say I want to be an RN and I got to go to nursing school and I got to da, right? Perfect. But you can also get into healthcare by starting out in EVS at the hospital and then let the hospital promote you from within and give you the training. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of giving yourself this one hard line entry point, figure out what other entry point is attached to the job or the industry that you say you want to be in. There's always more than one door. There is always more than one door to get into the industry that you want to say you want to be in. So figure out and investigate that industry. So you got your vision, you got um, let's see, what's my fifth? My fifth piece of advice for somebody. I will attempt to speak to the young man that is uh, on 73rd right now.
Yes.
Don't lie to yourself.
Don't say that again.
Don't lie to yourself.
Okay.
Um, you have been in your city long enough and seen enough to know that certain things don't end well.
Wow.
Certain things don't have retirement plans.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things put the people that you say you love and you're doing it for at risk. Are you man or woman enough to choose a different route for yourself,
Mm.
even if no help is coming? Because both lanes are going to be hard. Do you want it to be hard looking over your shoulder, or do you want it to be hard because you want to test the metal of man or woman that you are? For me, I want to be tested. I I I embrace, and don't get me wrong, there are days that you're gonna have to mix your tequila with your whiskey and figure it out. And yes, I
Yes.
said that correctly.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but I would rather know what I'm made of than to let somebody else tell me, than to
Okay.
let my circumstances tell me. Um, Life gonna have to beat me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna tap out. Life gonna have to beat me.
Yeah.
And if you from where you say you from, and if all that if all that means something to you, um, don't let life beat you.
Listen.
Don't let life beat you. Be harder than life.
Yes. I love that last one. Especially with like if you from where you say you from, listen, you
Be
there's
that.
listen, there's a I heard a few rappers say this, but I don't know where it came from, but there's I guess you call it a little bit of a bar where it says, "Teach me how to move in a room full of vultures." I
Yes,
don't know if it
yes.
came from Diddy or Jay-Z or who, but I've heard like three different people
Show you how
say
to
it.
move in a room full of book.
Yeah,
I want to
Diddy.
give credit to Jay-Z, but I don't know.
Okay, I heard it from Diddy first, and then once I got into Jay-Z only recently, and I'm like, oh, and then I heard him say it. So I'm like, that was probably his, you know.
Yeah,
Knowing
yeah.
what we know now, it was probably Jay-Z's first. But
100%.
anyway, that is the reality. And even if you are able to, I don't even call it a code switch, but like how you say you polish up well, even if you're able to polish up well and present, you know, it's in you, you know,
Yeah,
and I that's what, you know, one of the things that I attribute to my city. You can put me anywhere and not
100%.
like that, but I'm coming out okay, you know. And
Absolutely.
that's just what it is. So yeah, you could take what, you know, take all of what life has thrown at you and make it what you want to be. You know, you don't have to look like it, you don't have to talk like it, and if you want to, that's fine too, you know.
Yeah,
But if you from that, that's such a good point. Like you, and people need to take that, because oftentimes we hear, oh, this is what I've been through, this is where I'm from, you don't know, and they feel like, oh, I have to be this way.
100%.
Yeah, so
100%. Those, I mean,
I,
I've said those same statements, and I know we're close to wrapping up. I want to respect the time. I've said those same statements. I've been there, right,
yeah.
with all of those quote unquote people. Um, but one of the things that I love, one of the TV shows that I love, two TV shows that I love, The Wire and Power, the original Power. All the spinoffs are a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I can equate to both. If you watch the original Wire, the loudest in the rooms never made it. The only
Yeah.
people that made it, technically, Marlo and Slim Charles. And
Okay.
Slim Charles ended up with everything, but he played the background the entire time. He watched everybody. He learned how everybody moved, right?
Yeah.
And he ended up being uh, the best of both worlds. And then you go to Power, and you got the three main characters. You got Ghost, you got Tommy, and you got Kanan. You can learn something from each one of those characters, being from Oakland, Richmond, San Jose, Stockton. You can learn something from each one of those characters, and the best of you should be able to merge them all, right?
Hmm.
Be able to handle yourself like Kanan, be able to handle yourself like Tommy, be strategic as Kanan. Kanan's mindset was phenomenal. But if they would have all been on the same page with Ghost, we'd be watching a whole different show by now, right? We'd be watching them own companies and businesses and maybe doing corporate shakedowns instead of, you know, putting bodies in
Yeah.
the trunk. And
Yeah.
so if when I tell somebody don't let life beat you, beat life, make life earn it, right?
Yeah.
Life is gonna wake up and throw 3 or 4 punches at you every day. Wake up and throw 3 or 4 punches in life. Because the minute that you say you want something, life is gonna say, oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if you really want that. And
Mm-hmm.
man, listen, I wake up every morning and I do one of these. Like, I'm untouchable, right?
I like
Not to
that.
say that I'm gonna win every day,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna win every day.
Yeah. 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 Well, thank you so much. This was superb. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, for sure. For sure. You said a lot, but do you have anything else you want to leave us with?
No, all wealth ends in two places, Wall Street and real estate. And if you think that you want to enter either of those spaces, follow me. Let's talk.